I can look after myself. Don't worry about me. Ted, you can do whatever you like, mate. I'm not here to lecture you either way about what you should and shouldn't do. It's entirely up to you. It's not detoxing. Detoxing is just having a break for a while to cleanse your body out. And I'm not doing that. I am now a non drinker for 68 days after 50 years of drinking. There's a complete difference between detox and quitting drinking and being an alcoholic in recovery, which is what I am. It's day 68 today. Day 68, no alcohol. Hello, Lucky. Your mum is in recovery, 7 years sober. Very proud of her. That's very good. And she'll probably tell you that every day can still raise a challenge on occasion. I won't say that after 7 years every day is a challenge, but I think she'll certainly still find that she has some challenges which she needs to deal with. That's brilliant. Thank you, everybody, to who's joined. Ted, you love drinking alcohol? That's fine. In that case, I would suggest this isn't for you. So I'll remove you. How about that? Goodbye. I keep struggling to get past the 5 day mark every weekend due to habit and boredom. Yeah, well, habits, habitual drinking is one of the problems. And you do need to find a way to deal with the habitual alcohol. Uh, it is difficult, but it's every journey is different. My journey will be different to yours, but I am going to be showing you. I'll tell you a bit more about planning the journey, although I've done a live stream about planning your journey not to drink and to give up the alcohol and be a recovering alcoholic, as I now am. Talk a bit more about that. But I'm also going to physically show you a plan, which I've been keeping for the month of June, as to what's going to be happening during that month and how I can plan or foresee any problems that might arise, and also how I actually dealt with every day that month. So I'll be sharing that with you as well. It's 3:15 in Colorado, so I can't stay as AM. Oh my golly! But I wanted to say hi and thank you for sharing. Okay, what I'm going to try and do, Miss Monica, is to try and bring some of this content into the early part of the live stream. And when I finish the live, I'm going to be uploading it to my YouTube channel unlisted. And the link will only be visible to my TikTok community who go to my link tree in my bio. So if you go to the bio, when you wake up, it'll be a link to the video in there. I'll download it, which TikTok will allow me to do, and I'll stick it in there so you can watch if you're interested about the plan. So I'll make it, as I said, in the early part of the video, so you're not going to have to stop and go through it all. But anyway, I'll say goodbye to you now. I'm not sure how long you're staying. Rebecca, thank you for popping in. Oh, by the way, Rebecca, look. Found it. It's really lovely. It's very, very minty. It's also quite expensive. The bottle is only half the size of normal. I know on the screen it looks like a big one, but it's only what is it, a 500 ml for £2.50. Currently on offer in Sainsbury's for £2. But it's very refreshing, but incredibly minty. Love it. Right. Now then. I'm doing very well, thank you. This is day 68 of my journey to alcohol recovery. And just to make it clear so everybody knows where I stand on this, especially if you're new to my live streams, is that I've been drinking for 50 years since I was 14, although I had my first drink when I was 12. Um, Proper drink in a pub at 12. But I started drinking really regularly 50 years ago when I was 14. And what I mean by regularly, I mean several times a week. Until it got to a stage 20 years later when I was 34, when I realised I'd got a bit of a problem, and I was drinking far too much. And this was a time as well, 30 years ago, um, when I was 34, that I really could not afford to do that because I'd got a family of three boys, um, which of course I'm paying a mortgage as well and trying to do my best for my family. But I'd realised that my alcoholism really was an alcoholic problem because I was prioritising incorrectly. I was putting the alcohol and my socialising with friends around drink as first on my list of priorities, and my family and my responsibilities as a parent were taken second seat to alcohol. So that's when I really knew, I suppose, that I'd got a problem. So for 30 years, I've made several attempts to stop drinking. And I know there's people who'll be joining, if not possibly already here on the live stream, who are going through a similar sort of thing, or they've got friends or family who are going through that same sort of thing. Alcoholism is, the signs are different, and there are different types of alcoholics, but basically it creates the same sort of social problems and family problems. So for 30 years I've been trying to stop, and I've realised that I can't stop. And over that 30 years, every time I've tried and failed, I'm the sort of analytical person that likes to understand, well, why did I fail? Um, that wasn't my immediate response. My immediate response is, oh, sod it, I've fallen off the wagon. I've ruined it now. I might as well just keep drinking. I mean, I'm enjoying it, so why shouldn't I just keep doing it? And the problems, the social and family problems, would rear their heads again, and I'm back to square one. But at least I had a realization as to why I'd failed, and I was determined that that was not going to happen every time. So I kept a list in my head, if you like, of all the things to avoid next time. Because if you keep trying to do the same things and expect different results, then well, you're mad. So you need to do something different, and that's avoid the reasons why alcohol came back into your life and you fell off the wagon. So, morning, everybody. I drink every weekend, and now I'm just used to it. Yeah. Do you binge drink? You know, you have a lot. Um, Now that, yeah. Miss Monica will do. I'm interested in the plan. Thank you. Cheerio. Cheerio. Thank you very much. Okay, Koki, we've got some new faces joining this morning. This is really good. Jim says, I drink every day and I'm used to it. Used to being used to it is part of the problem. Yeah. Um, when you've got alcohol addiction and you've got drinking through habit, then you've got two things you need to deal with: the habit and the addiction. And there's only one thing I can think of that's probably worse than that, and that is drinking through habitual and addiction reasons with depression, because you actually believe that alcohol is making you feel better, and it doesn't. So, but you think it is. It just plays tricks on your mind. So thank you everybody for popping in. Music Watcher has joined, unless they're just scrolling through. But there's a question here from Music Watcher: how many days sober now? And that is 68 today. 68 days. Amazing. Oh, Jim, you're on antidepressants? Yeah. When you get rid of the alcohol, you'll probably find that within a few weeks or months, you'll be able to get rid of the antidepressants. That's what I did. But if you've got um, a predisposition to depression, then occasionally it might just rear its head and you can deal with it. But I think if it rears its head whilst you're recovering in the early days, you may need to take the tablets, the medications, as I had to do on day 50, 51, 52, and for a few days after that until I regained some stability. And that was quickly followed by an invitation on the 12th of June. I've got my plan here to go to a friend's barbecue, which I didn't go to, and I'll show you all this plan. It's very easy to understand, and I'll do the camera the right way around so you can read it properly. When am I 65? That'll be March. I'm an Aryan, although I don't believe in the star signs. Sonia, that's the wall I'm hitting just now. Yeah, it's tough for you, my friend. I know exactly what you're going through. It does get easier. People kept telling me that as soon as I joined TikTok 65 days ago. I was 3 days into my journey, and I was feeling not too confident that I could continue because I hadn't really sorted out my support mechanism properly. I was relying on social media, and TikTok was great, but Twitter and Instagram wasn't right for me, and I've since deleted them altogether. In fact, they're not recoverable now because after 30 days, I think they delete your account. But I'm not going to see anyway whether it's still there or not because I don't need them. I've got TikTok and the lovely community here. I've made some really good friends on TikTok, and I don't say that lightly because I don't really make friends that easily. I'm socially awkward. I like to say I'm socially independent, that I don't need other people around me. That makes me seem very antisocial, but antisocial is completely different to being socially independent and socially awkward. I like to communicate with you, my friends, through this particular medium and talk with you, answer your questions. You can ask me anything you like, but I do reserve the right not to answer. Have a drink, mate. It's a Saturday. I'm not sure if you've been muted already, but I'll tell you what, just in case you have been muted. Oh, you have. I am blocking you. Okay? I don't need you. Me and my community don't need people like you. We don't need you to be muted. We need you never to come back because you're not what we want to talk about. You're not part of our growing community who work together to help each other with recovery problems from alcohol. So what I'm saying is, you have to go, and so does anybody else who wants to test my patience this morning. Matt Bromley, Matty, welcome. Armstrong, keep it up, bro. Sonia, me too. I get angry easily. Yeah, that is one of the side effects of alcohol. It's amazing. I can tell you, Sonia, from personal experience over the last 68 days, and if you've not, because I don't recognise your names, I don't know how long you've been following me, or if you've been lurking in earlier live streams, watching and not joining in, but you feel confident in doing so now. I don't know, but I found that not only did my confidence start to really grow when I was talking with people like you and answering questions, which made me have to think very deep internally and give you answers to the things you want to know. It gave me more confidence, more patience, more tolerant of various situations I may have got a little bit irritable with earlier. So I think it's starting to show many side effects. So Sonia, I understand. Oh, hang on, what we've got here? Rebecca says, irritability is a big thing for me, and drink seems to calm me. Right. Well, I nearly said something then, sexist. No, I shouldn't say anything at all. Stephen, bite your lip. I was just going to say it's a female thing. Because that's just how my wife is. She's irritable without any drink. But luckily she's not in, she's gone shopping. SGM. Not that it's a good thing. Yeah, okay. Yes, you can take a joke, can't you, Rebecca? um, right, Jim says, in that one moment, maybe Beck's sobriety is learning the tools to handle it without drink. Yes, it is. That's the recovery journey. And again, some of that will be revealed on here when I just turn the camera around and I go through this with you as to what happened to me in June. Um, so I've really, in June, I've gone from the first day of June, which is day 43 of no alcohol, through to today, which is day 68 of alcohol, which is now the 26th of June. Um, I've got a line, which is just an ordinary line. Above it, I'm feeling good. I've decided to use good in 3 levels. So how do you feel out of 10 today? Or 8? Okay, well, I've done it out of 3 just to make it much easier. I haven't got to try and justify why I've picked a number. And the same below the line, I'm not feeling quite so good today. I'm a bit below par. So on par is staying on the line. And there's a few of those. It's not many, but there's a few. No, actually, there's only one for 1.5 days. 1.5 days. So the rest were either above the line or below the line. Jammer 122. I'm from Yorkshire in the UK. Having problems getting my doctor to bring me off meds I don't need anymore. I'm clean 15 year. Ooh, I must have missed that earlier on because I think Rebecca saying something about well done on 15 years. That must have been something you said earlier and I missed. Well done on that. Hydrated Hawk. Thank you. You're genuinely one of the inspirations that helped me. Thank you for that. Well, you see, I didn't realise that I was going to be turning into an inspiration, or guiding or helping other people. So that's really helped me because when I know that I've got people tuning in because they really want to know some of the stuff, it's made me have to look deep within myself and get it onto paper or to think about it, to stop internalizing everything and to bring it out because I've got to share it. So that's been really good. Get in, son. 68 days. Thank you. Yeah, 68 days. No alcohol today. My longest ever by far. My previous was 30 days, using CBT as cognitive behavioural therapy, and it was not a pleasant experience. And I think I probably, in fact, I know I was very pleased to end it and go back to drink. Yeah, Jim, whilst you're not a people person, part of the recovery is asking for help. But the fact is, you've found a way of doing it on here by being part of this group, um, and other people have too. Jim, if it's okay with you, I've just added you as a moderator. I need another bloke. But if you don't want to do it, let me know and I'll take you off. Your name has come up a lot, and you've always been very supportive, both with answering questions and helping. And I think if you will accept that position of being a mod, then that would be great if you would. It'll help me knowing. Mystical Monkey, are you looking forward to some of your granddaughter? Yes, indeed I am. Diker 1916 followed the host. Hey, look, thank you for following. That's really, really nice of you. Thank you so much. Let me now try and catch up on some of the questions I've missed. I get irritable too, so it might be a gay or a female thing. Um, well, it might be, but my twin gay sons are not irritable. You know, mind you, they're not drunk either. They rarely drink these days. They used to drink a lot. I think when they got to their early 30s, because they're 38 now, they realised they can't carry on drinking the way they were when they were younger, so they just stopped doing it. And they also know my story too, so they avoided the problem before it became a problem. Irish Jez, hey, all it's a vicious cycle. Feeling irritable, drink, sober up, and then feeling irritable again. Yeah, breaking the cycle. Yeah, it depends on you. Look at CBT. A lot of people don't find it useful, but it's down to mental state. Yeah, I just, if you, just in case you missed it a little bit earlier on, I'm not really a social person. I'm socially inept. Um, I'm socially independent. You know, I can do without other people around me. But I do like this form of socializing and talking to people, so much so that people will tell you I can talk on here for 2.5 hours. If you keep firing me questions, I can keep talking if I've got the time. And I enjoy it. Oh, hang on, what have I got here? Greg, still going strong, big guy. I'm day 26. Yeah, I'm on day 68. And you're on day 26. Well done, Greg. That is fantastic. What was your drink of choice when you were using? In the early days, it was champagne on a Saturday night, every week on a Saturday night. And then I was having a rather successful time at that particular time, and champagne was always on offer when they had the battles of the supermarkets. You know, you're getting a 30 quid bottle of champagne for £8 to £10. So we used to buy one and drink that, but when it went up, we stopped doing it. Um, Recently, it has been Prosecco, Guinness, and the Berries Strongbow cider. Sarah just joined. Now, what we got here? Any advice for accepting you've got an addiction? Sorry. Any advice for accepting you've got an addiction? Well, yeah, really. If you put alcohol first, um, Charmer, day 4 for you. Congratulations, pal. You've made the step into the difficult period. The first week is difficult. It does get easier, not noticeably easier, but it does get easier. But yeah, okay. So accepting you've got an addiction. If you're putting alcohol as a priority over everything else, you're hiding your drinks. You're drinking in secret. You're lying about your consumption volume. You're spending more than you know you can really justify or afford. You can't wait until 1 o'clock. That sort of type thinking, then you need to realise that you're either a dependent or an alcoholic. A dependent means you can still function, although there are functioning alcoholics too. But alcoholics don't need a reason to drink; they just drink. And they don't always drink from the moment they get up to the moment they go to sleep every single day. There's lots of types of alcoholism. Some of them just binge drinkers at weekends. Yes, you're right, Jim. Addiction does sound like a bad word, but it isn't. Um, you really found it easy to admit you were an alcoholic. Now, you see, I didn't. I kidded myself, even on my TikTok number 1 that I made. On day 3 of my journey to recovery, I joined TikTok, and on that very first TikTok, I did not admit I was an alcoholic. I said I'd got an alcohol dependency problem. I want to come here to help resolve the issue, and I'm hoping that people on the TikTok community will help me because I need some sort of support. And the TikTok community flooded to my aid, and I still say, why on that video did I get 250,000 views? My first ever TikTok saying I'm an alcohol dependent, ugly 64-year-old bloke who doesn't feel they should be on this platform because it's a young person's platform, and if it's not young persons, then it's tit tarts. And I didn't feel as though I was on the right platform, but you soon proved me wrong. So now I'm on day 68, which is more than twice as long that I've ever gone before. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the journey. It's all part of my plan. Alcoholics tend to hide their addiction too. That's a good sign. Yeah. Jim, you do whatever you like. If you see them first and want to mute them, you just take whatever action that you believe is in the best interest of the group of people who are watching. Yorkshire Becks. This is good, you see, because you've just done it here on a public forum with 32 people watching. You say, I find it hard to admit I'm an alcoholic, but I know that I am. So you haven't found it hard. It's just a case of you found it hard in certain situations. You find it easy in other situations, like here. So it's what makes you feel most comfortable. And maybe because you can admit that here, this will be the way that will make you less of an alcoholic. It'll help you as on the beginning of your journey from alcoholism. The most dangerous time for people with alcohol dependence is 72 to 90 hours. Yeah, I can certainly go with that. I will now start to tell you about my plan. Now, I've done a whole live stream before about planning to stop drinking until you get to D-Day. I do believe what you shouldn't do is just do it. I know impulsive people will just do it and hope that it works, but you're not stacking your success in your favour. If you're just going to stop drinking alcohol, especially from the number of units that I used to consume of 200 units a week, that's my average, and it's a reliable average. 200 units a week is equivalent to, but not exclusive to, a bottle of spirits a day. I have since learned that volume of alcohol, whilst I thought that was high, and to some people it is really high, is actually nothing. Because I've been talking and communicating with people on TikTok who have told me they drink several bottles per day from the moment they get up, and they just don't function properly. I did have a young woman contact me, and I got to speak to her on a one-to-one basis on WhatsApp, who wanted my help to recover, and she had no plan. And when she was speaking to me, begging for my help, and she really was begging for me to help her. She's only 24. I don't think she'll be watching this, and if she does anyway, I'm not going to mention her name. She was not only absolutely drunk and could hardly speak, but she was also stoned. And I said, look, I can't work with you whilst you're in this condition. You need to come back to me when you're not in this condition, and we can just talk, and I can mentor you, not as an experienced alcoholic recovery expert, but based on my experience to tell you what I know works. I know a lot of ways that don't work because I've failed so many times, but they may work for you. So let me be a mentor, if you like, somebody you can speak to, but you also need to get some help from other areas in addition. And I've never heard from her, so she's obviously decided, I think, that alcohol and drugs to her is more important than getting sober, getting clean and talking to me. Now that's the choice that she's made, and that's okay. Hopefully now my mods will just answer any questions you throw at me if they know the answers, because I want to focus just on the plan. And my plan is two plans. The planning to come to the quitting day, the journey up to the day you want to become an alcoholic in recovery. rather than a practicing alcoholic. Well done, Kelly, 5 days. That's not to be sniffed at. You're in the hard period at the moment. Um, so what I did after failing so many times, over 30 years, I knew what my triggers were. So I made a list of the triggers. And triggers are the things that make you want to drink. One of the things, there's three things. One was a particular environment, or a TV program, or a piece of music. So your environment can be anything. To me, it was a particular TV program that came on the same time every day at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, I would pour myself a large quadruple whiskey. So I wouldn't drink until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But when I started, it was a quadruple. And I would then keep on drinking until I go to bed. Sometimes I would switch drinks and start with a whiskey and then go on to a bottle of red wine and finish that before I go to bed. Sometimes the wife would go to bed and I'd stay up finishing my second bottle of wine. So it's understanding what triggers are, things that make you want to drink. And TV at 4 o'clock was a certain theme tune on a TV program, was one of them. Another one was temperature. So if we have a really hot sunny day and maybe I'm doing something, it could be that I'd go for a run, and in my water bottle I'd have a couple of shots of vodka, secretly, which is obviously hiding an addiction, drinking secretly. But the hot weather could affect me at any time. I could be driving a car, I could be outside sunbathing, there's a chair out there now. It could just be generally hot and sweaty, and wow, I'm thirsty, I just need a pint. Well, your brain is telling you need a pint of alcohol, like beer or whatever, but in fact you're not, and you're just thirsty. And you find that if you drink a pint of water, sparkly water is really good. Flat water isn't quite so good, but sparkling water is for some reason. Makes you burp, but you have a pint of that really quickly and then fill up another one just to keep sipping on. You'll find your thirst is gone and your mind is no longer craving a pint instead of water. So a trigger was the temperature. So for me to go 68 days ago and pick leaving spring, coming in towards summer, to go into recovery from alcohol was not the wisest decision I ever made. But I'll explain how that came in just a moment. So I'm just reading through here a moment. There are people who have got lots of triggers. And I've just seen Jim mention about childhood trauma. Everybody seems to think that if you've got problems like alcohol addiction or other problems, that you've got a childhood trauma which needs to be resolved, and counselling is the only way. That's not the case. But if you think you have, then you have. And if Jim thinks he has, and then if he can get to the root cause of that, that's fine. But what is Jim's triggers? It's not going to be going through the same trauma. It will be other triggers, associations with alcohol. So understanding my triggers was the first thing I had to do as part of my plan. Write them down. And you discover new triggers. Now, I discovered a new trigger. Let me just look at this. On day 57. Is it 57? Yeah. 57. I discovered a new trigger, which I'd never ever had on my list. And it was my sofa. Who remembers my sofa trigger? I sat down on the sofa. There was no music playing on the TV program at 4 o'clock. It wasn't even 4 o'clock. I've been in recovery now for 57 days. But suddenly this day 57, I sat on my sofa and the trigger went. A little table was beside me on the sofa, which hadn't been there for the last 57 days because of various things we'd been doing, and we were rearranging, and the little coffee table thing, a little single stem coffee table, was beside my arm of my sofa. And when I sat down, there was the little table, and there was the coffee table, and it should have a pint of beer on it. So no, I didn't sell the sofa. I broke it up. It needed replacing anyway. I broke it up and took it to the tip and ordered a new one. I've now got a new sofa, and the trigger's gone. Okay, that's an extreme trigger. But the fact is, you must understand what all your triggers are and write them down. And you perhaps won't know what all your triggers are, but do your best to write all your triggers down. Now, a few easy ones are it's wine o'clock. You know, when is it gin o'clock? Making the tea for the family is a trigger. Pouring yourself a glass of wine whilst you make, tea for your friends. Oh yeah, you saw it on the driveway. It was I'd stripped it down and put the frame on the driveway to be collected by the rubbish men. I don't disagree. These may be considered triggers, but triggers are typically emotional and physical. Um, excuse me. Triggers are triggers. It doesn't matter what they are. If they get you to think um, of alcohol, and that you'd like to pick up a glass and pour yourself a drink, then that's a trigger, no matter in what form it appears. It may manifest itself in any of those things we've discussed, or others. But if you write down what your triggers are, certainly the ones you're aware of, then you can do something about them. You can plan what to do when a trigger occurs. My answer to a hot day trigger, when I'm feeling really hot, which is a physical, was to have a pint of beer. Now I have a pint of sparkling water. And do you know, the desire for alcohol disappears. But of course, once you have a pint of beer, you want to reinforce that if you're an alcoholic by having another one, because one drink is never enough. You've got to keep going and having a few more. So, we've now gone to recognizing what triggers you to want a drink and writing them down. This is what I did. What I then did was I started to think next weekend I'm going to stop drinking. And I did this so many times over the last 30 years, and every time I failed. I was recognizing the triggers, but I hadn't really prepared myself for this journey, because it is a difficult journey to stop drinking alcohol, especially after 50 years. Okay, out of that 50 years, you could say I wasn't an alcoholic for 50 years. I wasn't. But I do know that I was an alcohol dependent after 20 years. And I was reinforcing that dependency by drinking and drinking and drinking, not only more and more and more, up to 200 units, sometimes 300 units in a week, but doing it every single day. And alcohol was on my mind all day until I had a drink. But next morning, I would look in the mirror, brush my teeth with a bit of a hangover, sometimes a bad hangover, and say, why do I do this? I must stop drinking. And I genuinely kept telling myself, lots of times, many, many, many dozens, hundreds of times in the morning, I must stop drinking. But I only tried a few times, a dozen or dozen and a half times over 30 years to actually try and stop. And I knew I wouldn't make it. I knew I would fail because I'd never succeeded. So my last journey to bring me to where I am now was a plan. And my plan was, if I fall off the wagon again, it's not that important. I'll just get back on the wagon. That was part of my plan. It's not that I've failed, it's that I've learnt something. I've learnt a lesson. And I'll just simply get back on the wagon rather than just give up. So my plan this time was, if I did fail this time, I would get back on the wagon. What could I possibly do to help me stop drinking forever? So the possibility of falling off the wagon was less likely. Luckily, I haven't fallen off the wagon in 68 days. I've come close, as some people here will testify. So I decided my problem was not that I drank every day and I was an alcoholic. That wasn't the real issue here. And it wasn't that I was in denial, because I wanted to stop and I tried so many times and failed. So I've got all the reasons in place that I want to stop, and I kept trying to stop, but I kept failing. It was that I hadn't yet got the right plan, and it was the strength of the alcohol. It wasn't the volume as much, it was the strength of the alcohol, which I found for me, it may not be for you, the strength of the alcohol made it so difficult to quit drinking. So my plan was, for 6 months, I would stop drinking any spirits. I wouldn't buy any spirits. I wouldn't have any spirits in the house. So whiskey was gone. Gin, one of my favourite drinks to drink and share on a summer day with friends, had to go. Pernod had to go. I love Pernod. Last Christmas, Harvey Wallbangers had to go. Harvey Wallbanger is orange juice, vodka and Galliano. So 2 of those, the Galliano and the vodka, had to go. So it wasn't the Harvey Wallbanger anymore. It was just a bar. It wasn't a Harvey Wallbanger anymore. What I was doing instead over that last 6 months, whilst all the strong alcohol was now removed from my life, I didn't have a problem with it.
Here's what I found.
And I didn't have a problem with it because I was allowing myself to continue drinking, but it was the stuff which wasn't as strong as the real the hardcore stuff. So spirits were gone, beer was in, and not the strong cider. I didn't have strong cider, I had other ciders. So for 6 months of my life, I was now away from all the hardcore stuff and only drinking beer. The downside of that was my volume, my consumption went up, because I wasn't getting the same buzz, if you like, because I was drinking weaker stuff. The buzz wasn't as high, and it didn't come in so fast, and I just drank more and more beer, which meant I was drinking virtually 2/3 of the day rather than just from 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it also had the consequence of me having to go to the toilet every couple of minutes. That's how bad it got. And I've also got an enlarged prostate, which affects older men. So that means my flow rate of my urine wasn't that powerful. So it was building up in my bladder and making me uncomfortable. I've now got medication for enlarged prostate. Sorry, I didn't want to get that personal with you, but it's part of the journey. Now, I did this for 6 months. And I found that after 6 months, I still wasn't quite ready to commit yet to saying, right, I'm now going to stop drinking and then put this plan into action. This is whilst I'm in recovery, not part of the journey towards going into recovery. So what I did is I kept going until I felt comfortable. And I felt comfortable 68 days ago. So it was now just over and approaching 12 months. 12 months. And that was 2 Christmases now, which had become no Harvey Wallbangers. I see you like Harvey Wallbangers, Rebecca. Hi Eddie, good to see you all. I'm just telling the story of planning my journey to plan to stop drinking, and I'm going to be saving this video after I've downloaded it from TikTok and putting it onto my YouTube channel, so only my TikTok community can go and look at it. In case they've had to come in, they couldn't make the live stream, they can go back and watch the early part of the live stream. So I'm talking about my 2 plans, planning my journey towards being a recovering alcoholic, and then my actual recovery itself and how I plan that on a day-to-day basis. So we're getting there now. Yeah, so 68 days ago, I said to my wife, I think now, day 68, I think I'm ready now to make the leap and to become a lifelong teetotal. I don't want to drink anymore. I want to be able to go from being an alcoholic, even if I don't drink anymore, I'll always be an alcoholic. But I wanted to go from being an alcoholic to a recovering alcoholic. You can't be a former alcoholic because it's in your psyche. It's who you are. You're an alcoholic. That's why an alcoholic cannot have another drink, not even one, in a social environment, because that could lead to you going back on the booze again. So when you're an alcoholic, you are always an alcoholic. But you can be an alcoholic that doesn't drink anymore. And that's what I wanted to be. So at the moment, I'm now gone from being an alcoholic, and it was just last week I've now become a recovering alcoholic. This is what this is my narrative. This is what I verbalise to myself. So I took that step 68 days ago. I had my last drink of beer. I'd been off all the strong spirits and all the strong ciders, and avoided all the strong beer of any sort, just on ordinary beer. And now was the time to have my last beer. In fact, what I did, it was 2 glasses of prosecco was my last ever drink. And now I'm an alcoholic who doesn't drink anymore. Day one. Day one comes, and I can manage this. I'm thinking about alcohol all day. That's the problem when you're an alcoholic. You're thinking about alcohol all day. Because I know that I was never going to have any. It wasn't, oh, it'll soon be 4 o'clock, I can wait until then. That wasn't it. I wasn't going to have a drink today or tomorrow. And I knew that. And that was hard. It was very, very hard. That on day two, I considered having some secret alcohol. I got none stored in the house. That was part of my plan to get rid of all my stash. And when I've quit previously, I found alcohol that I've stashed and forgotten about. And that just triggers it off again. So that's another trigger, getting rid of all the stashes, getting rid of the triggers. So my secret drinking, my alcohol stash had gone. I knew I wasn't going to drink anymore on day one. And it was torture. It was absolute torment. And I wasn't really fully aware of how bad this journey was going to be on day 1 to 3. All I had to do was stick with it. And then I realised that I hadn't really found a reliable platform for me as a support. If I needed support, I hadn't got anything in place. I tried CBT previous attempts. I tried AA in previous attempts. I tried hypnosis in previous attempts. I tried Indian head massage in previous attempts. I tried having a mentor I could call in previous attempts. I'd even tried having a nalmefene drug. And I was the first person in England to have a nalmefene drug for alcohol abuse to remove, it's a receptor blocker, to remove that pleasurable desire for alcohol. Once you've poured one, you don't necessarily have the same sensation of, I like to have another one. So I was the first person to have this product. The brand name of the nalmefene was Salincro. None of these worked. So what medium was I going to pick for myself this time round as a support system? Well, you heard me earlier on. It's not because I'm an alcoholic that I'm socially independent. It's just the makeup. That's who I am. I am socially independent. I like only the company of myself and my immediate family around me. I can tolerate other people for a limited time, but I find it difficult being honest and being totally myself and being relaxed about being that in the company of people I don't know very well. So all those previous things I tried, certainly I knew weren't going to work for me. And my platform of choice was social media. And social media, I was on Facebook. I got a little bit of sympathy out of them, but sympathy isn't what I was looking for. I wanted support. I wanted to speak to people who were feeling like me, on the same journey as me, or those who had been on the same journey as me, those who wanted to take that step to be on the journey and join me in my alcohol recovery. and Facebook didn't deliver that. Twitter failed me completely. I was so disappointed in Twitter that after joining on the 9th of February 2009, 68 days ago, I deleted my account. So I assume it's gone now. Just vanished. I think they just delete it after 30 days, but I know sometimes they don't in case you change your mind. That's probably gone by now. Instagram went the same way. There was no one on there that understood what I needed. I came to TikTok after 3 days because I was desperate. If I don't get something as my support system, the people who understand are on the same journey, they're about to encroach on that journey, they've been on the journey, or they've got friends, family, or whatever who are currently being supported by these people on my journey that I want to go on, I'm not going to make it. So I tried Twitter because that's the only social platform I've got left. And I made that first TikTok, 8 seconds long, where I didn't even speak. And I didn't admit I was an alcoholic. I just said I was an alcohol dependent. I said I didn't speak. It was typing, and Siri did the voice dub for me. That video went viral, I call it viral, with 250,000 views. It got me 1,000 people in the first day and 10,000 in the first week. I'd found now a platform, a reliable platform, which, like with which I was communicating with like-minded people who were, I found amazing. I keep saying it, a 64-year-old alcoholic, a bloke, who didn't feel part of TikTok because I wasn't a TikTok tit-tart. I wasn't a young person. I was an alcoholic 64-year-old, and what place have I got to be on this platform? But it completely took me by surprise, and I was overwhelmed. In fact, my first live stream attempt, because you have to get 1,000 first, my first live stream attempt was cut loose. One, because I broke down in tears. I couldn't believe the support I was getting. 129 people came on. And secondly, it ended because TikTok took the live stream down for harassment and bullying. I think that somebody had reported that I was in tears and that I was being harassed and bullied. So TikTok cut my live stream. And that's the biggest live stream I've ever had, with 129 people watching, and they cut it off. But I realised I was onto something. So TikTok had now become a valuable part of my plan to become this recovering alcoholic. And now I'm in my recovery journey, and I'm on day 68. From the 1st of June, I started to make other plans, and here is the plan. I didn't keep a plan from the 19th of April when I started, all through May, but from June, I realised because I was having bad days and good days, I needed to understand a bit more about this journey. And I say this because, and this is serious, because I've never been here before. I've never been to day 68 before, ever. So this is an unknown journey for me. I can't predict what's going to happen because this never happened before. I got to 30 days before, which I really hated. And I hated it because of having to engage with other people, strangers, people I didn't know. But I had to engage with them on a personal level, on a one-to-one, physical personal level, in the same room as them. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to be there. And I found that 30 days was a miserable experience. And I couldn't wait to become an active alcoholic again. I'd rather be a drinker than a sober, recovering alcoholic in that experience. So when I get down to 68 days, I was then on 42 days, which means I was already, nearly 2 weeks beyond where I'd ever been before. So I had to start keeping a record and a plan of my journey. And this is what I did. I'll just put this on the table and turn the camera around. So, one, you can see it, and two, it'll be the right way around for you, and I can explain it. So, let me first of all flip the camera around and let me come and tell you more about it. Okay. What I've done is I've taken a line in the middle of my graph paper, right across the paper, to represent an average ordinary day in my journey. I was going to put in there a blue line as well for days that I actually gave in and I had a drink. I gave in to temptation and had a drink, because this plan allowed me, if you like, to fall off the wagon. So when you've got permission, I've given myself permission to fall off the wagon, and I'll mark that in blue for days. So that's, that's June the 1st, June the 2nd, June the 3rd, June the 4th, and here are my days sober: 42, 43, 44, 45. Okay, so every day sober is up here. Every day not sober will be marked with a blue line, which I haven't got because I've not fallen off the wagon, which surprises me. So this is now June the 1st, June the 2nd, June the 3rd, and you can see that if I'm on a plateau here of how I feel on that day, you'll see that how do you feel out of 1 and 3? How do you feel today about alcohol, your journey? How do you feel about today? Have you got any anxieties? No, I haven't. I would say I'm probably about a 1, so I'm quite content. I'm not below the line, worried about the day, or I've woke up with a craving or whatever. I'm just going along steadily today, and I did this for every day with a little dot, and I then drew a line. And that line, you can see here, look, I was on my 46th day, on the 4th of June. I went to level 3, the highest I've got. I've allowed myself to mark myself out of 3. It's the highest I've got. You might want to do it out of 5 or 10. But I marked myself out of 3. I was on a high that day, and it lasted for 3 days. And it was because I'd already got a plan that on that day, day 3, you'll see here, on the 3rd of June, Rosie, that's what we call her, her name was Amber Rose, my 8-year-old granddaughter, was coming to visit and stay for a couple of days. So I think psychologically I was working myself up to get excited about my granddaughter coming. I was feeling good. Everything I'm doing for her, to help her with her future. And I was up here for ages. When she went home, my day sunk. Now, it didn't mean I fell below the line, or that I'd started drinking with the blue line. The blue line, as I'm proud to say, it never came into the graph. But if it does, I've already given myself permission to fall off the wagon with the blue line, because I simply next day climb back on the wagon again. So as long as you're giving yourself this error of margin and you fall off, it doesn't matter as long as you get back on. Don't think I've ruined it now and then keep drinking for a few days. Just get back on the next day. Okay? So I plateaued to day 50 after she'd gone home. And then day 51, it hit me. And for a day and a half, a couple of days or whatever, I was at the rock bottom, and I hadn't allowed for that. That is one of my triggers, which I didn't realise was going to be a trigger. Because I am a depressive, I've got medication, which I haven't taken for a long time. But I got the medication out. I spoke to my doctor. I said, look, I'm very depressed. Should I just go on for a few days? Is that okay with you? I'm actually still on them at the moment. Now I'm down day 68, right at the other end of the graph, but I'm still on them at the moment because with his advice, we thought it is best to stay on them for a while. So I took my meds, and after a couple of days, I think on the 3rd day, so from the 8th until the 11th, I got back to a stable level where I was really happy with what I was doing again. And you'll see in here, look, for those 3 days, I was in rehab. Now, that's not the rehab that you would think, like you pay for to go away into a rehabilitation clinic or whatever. My rehab is getting away from the real world. I went to my holiday caravan at Filey. I went for a walk on the 6-mile beach. The window and the balcony on these lovely sunny days I was there had a view of the sea. This, it brings me a clean mind, the smell of fresh ocean air, and everything just dissolves. And it brought me back to here. Now, if you haven't got a place like that to take yourself to, it might just take a little bit longer to get back on the level. I can't remember the name of my meds, unfortunately. I can't remember. I'm sorry about that. So I thought again on day 12, I was stable enough again, and also on day 12 of that month, which is day 54 up here, day 54. On the 12th, everything with a circle on that date is something coming up which might throw me a wobbler and send me off the wagon, if you like, with a blue line. But as I said, luckily no blue lines on here at all, even though I made allowances and I'd given myself permission to fall off the wagon, and I'll mark it with the blue lines, I'm not kidding myself, just to get back on the wagon the next day. No blue lines are on this graph yet. Fingers crossed. On the 12th was a barbecue with friends that I was invited to. Now, I hadn't said no. I put it down on the 12th as a potential problem. But when we got to here, I already saw that could be a potential problem because the temptation was so great for me then. Sertraline wasn't the medication for depression. That was the... Oh, hang on a second. Yes, sertraline was my first medication, Rebecca, for depression, and I've now got a different one now because it was starting not to be effective. Selincro was my medication for the alcohol, the pleasure receptor blocker. So when I got down to here on my plan, I realised that looking ahead, the 12th, the 12th, there we go, was going to be possibly a problem. So back here, I cancelled the 12th barbecue with friends. I didn't go. Up here, I noticed that I've just put it anywhere on that line. The height of the line is no relevance. I noticed the sofa was a trigger and something had to go. So I got rid of the sofa and bought a new one. It's really silly, but I'm putting a lot of information on this graph so I can look back. For a few days I was stable, then I was hitting highs again, really confident. On the 17th there, look, I was taking my mother to hospital for surgery. So that's a week ago last Friday. And she's 86. She'll be 87 next month. That went really, really well. My mood and confidence remained at a good high. Even though it went down a little bit on the 23rd to 24th, because my mother was going back a week later to have the surgery dressings changed and to give us some sort of prognosis on how the surgery went. Maybe I was a little bit anxious. I wasn't maybe quite as high, but this line of my mood didn't go below into a negative mood or a doubtful mood or not confident or I've got to be careful here. And of course, it's subjective. That's just how I think I felt. And it started to gain a really good high again until today. So today I'm on 68, the 26th. It's 2 days after my mother has had her appointment at the hospital, which was all well and good. And I'm still up here. And you can see there are no blue lines on there at all where I've fallen off the wagon. Now, I never started keeping this record until June. There are no blue lines either in April or May. So now I'm on 68, day 68, on today the 26th. There's a day 68 up here. So 68 days, day 26, I'm on level 3, my highest mental state of confidence, energy, feeling really grand. My support is in place. I've got my graph, I can look back. Everything is going really well. And I'm now starting to compile a plan for July. Because there are a few summer things and a few other things in there which may just need noting in little circles along that timeline of the things that could possibly throw me off my plan of sobriety and recovery. So, let me just flip the camera. If you are late into this recovery live stream and you want to know more about the planning to take you up to your chosen day, even if you get to the day to quit, today's the day I've been working up to quit alcohol. If it's not right, then don't do it. That's the key. If it's not right, don't do it. I extended mine by 6 months. I wasn't ready to take on board that responsibility. And when I did take it on 68 days ago, it wasn't the best time in the world because one of my triggers is the summer heat. I just naturally think about drinking alcohol, long, cold beers. And when I have one, I know I'm going to have a few more. But that is what worked out to be right for me. 6 months of making that plan by coming off the strong booze, getting a nice balance and equilibrium where I felt now the time was right. It took me longer than planned. So even if you get to D-Day or P-Day, plan day, recovery day, whatever you want to call it, if it's not right, it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Okay? So then, you've got your plan, your journey. Now, I never had this plan. I never even thought of keeping a plan like this of my recovery. I thought all I would need is to be fully aware of my triggers, the reasons why I failed before, get a good, reliable, I mean a fully reliable support system in place, whatever that is for you. And my support system is my TikTok community. And the people on TikTok, when they find me through whatever resources, I pop up on the FYP or whatever it is, if they want to join my journey, then this is why the live streams are there. My TikToks are really there to show my community, my journey, my daily journey, but the live streams are really to share with you, for you to become part of my community and understand how I've got to 64 years old, alcoholic for 30 years out of the 50 years I've been drinking, and all of a sudden I found a way that I can stop drinking, and I've got no blue line. I've not fallen off the wagon at all in 68 days. Now, I can tell you I'm more surprised than you are. I've not drunk secretly. I've got no hidden alcohol anywhere in my possessions. I have found alcohol in the boot of my car, which I've hidden. And I said to the missus, in fact, I was 3 weeks into my journey. I went metal detecting. I went under the boot of the car, got my metal detecting kit out, and there was a can of beer, which I'd completely forgotten about. I'd hidden there. So on camera, I took my TikTok, I pulled the can, and I poured it away. So that's the last time I've ever handled any alcohol which had been mine. So, what I'm doing about this, plan to stop drinking, have a reliable plan in place. If it's not right for you, then don't do it, wait until it's right. And then number 2, plan ahead whilst you're on your recovery journey. Put down on that plan all the things that month which might make you fall off the wagon. And then you've got plenty of time to look ahead and see how am I going to deal with that when it comes. You might decide to face it head on and use just pure willpower. Or you can do what I've done and avoid them. I'll avoid them until I'm confident. And I don't actually know how long that's going to be until I'm fully confident. So those of you that have come in too late, you've not caught all of my live stream with the 2-part plan. I am going to be downloading it when I finish this live stream, because TikTok allows me to do that. It's not in public view. I'm going to download it. I'm going to then load it up to my YouTube channel, and the link to it will be in my link tree, which is in my TikTok bio. So just before we go, have we got any questions? Because I've not been reading anything whilst I've been telling you about the plans, because I've left it to my moderators to answer all the questions for me. Have you got anything before I decide to go and end this? But it looks like you're having great fun chatting away, which is really good. This is what the community is for. Oh, hello, Sarah. Have you just come in? I haven't been paying attention to the screen for quite a bit now because I've been explaining my plan and my graph and everything else to show people the journey I've made since becoming a recovering alcoholic and to give some people an idea on how to not fall off the wagon. Did you get your ring today, by the way? Has your ring arrived? Oh, okay. Right, okay. Did your ring arrive? Oh, that'll be great. Well, it did go first class, but as you know, I missed my deadline that day. So it might be there today with a bit of luck. Has your has your delivery period time slot at home gone yet? Or is it still not, what time is it? 11:28 is a bit early yet, isn't it? Ours doesn't come till about 2 o'clock. It really seems difficult to actually cut this live stream off, and there's so many people talking between each other. This is what the community is for, is to help each other. This is not about me. This is about the community that needs the support of each other. So if you feel as well that it hasn't been yet, oh, brilliant, okay. So, Stephen, I'm a walking, talking miracle. No, mate. Just had lots of experience. If you find that you are getting on with people very well, you're having a conversation, I encourage you to friend them so you can carry on the conversation. And if you're getting on really well, there's a couple of my moderators that I've now followed and I chat with as well. They've given me permission to speak with them on WhatsApp, which is getting really personal, giving out your personal details. But that's what a couple of us, of my moderators, have done, so we can just have a chat now and again. So if you feel that this is right for you to go that next step, and not just for the live streams, and you want to talk more on a personal level with somebody with their permission, then see if you can get to talk with them either by message on TikTok or even further if that's the way you want to go. Hello, Tommies. Thank you for popping in. Day one is arguably the most important day. Yes, Jim, I would say that because I would agree and disagree with that. I would agree with it because it's D-Day, it's your plan day. So that's a very special day. You'll always remember that day. But then I think the next special day, the next important day, is the day you're currently on. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm feeling very well. I'm 68 days now without any alcohol. I've been sharing a couple of plans with people on how to get to the point where you are a recovering alcoholic and not an active alcoholic. You're not drinking anymore, you're a recovering alcoholic. And then I've shared a plan as well with how to formulate that as a plan for your recovering alcoholic future. So you're marking on a daily basis, if there is such a thing, in little circles on dates. This is June, that's June the 3rd. June the 3rd, my granddaughter was coming over. All these things, which are the things which might cause you any problems or cause you any concerns, to be aware of and how to avoid them and go around them. And the coloured line is your progress and your mood on that day. And as soon as you find your mood is dropping down towards the stability line, then you need to be aware that that's approaching a problem period where you might fall off the wagon. So, I am going to put this video with my plans on my YouTube. When I end this, because I just don't like to end it when there are people talking on here, because that's what it's for. What it's for. If you're here because you're wanting help with your recovery, um, I've got a question here from Big Mama 12. Do you crave sugar now that you don't drink? Um, Sometimes. Now, somebody has told me that sugar is good for recovery. I haven't necessarily found that to be the case, because I've never taken sugar in tea or anything like that. I don't take sugar on cereals. I took as much sugar out of my diet as possible years ago, years and years and years ago, long before I realised I'd got an alcohol problem. But I do find that I'm sucking more sweets, imperial mints, or just occasionally um, a sweet. Just reading through. You see, we've got Rebecca here talking about her personal problem. She's a moderator. People know her real name. People know that we've become friends and talk personally occasionally. And yet she's still sharing this personal information with people. That is absolutely brilliant. And Sarah, my other moderator, there she is, has been doing the same sort of thing as well. And we talk personally. And sometimes Sarah and I just have a chat about how a live stream went. And if you feel that you're getting anything out of a live stream and you want to do more of them, then we can do that. Now today was a rather um, it was a day to talk about a specific thing, about planning to quit, and then planning your recovery journey. Should never leave these things to chance, because if you don't know where you're going, you could end up anywhere or go off the road. So knowing what you've got coming ahead makes it easier to stay on track. Oh yeah, my dad eats so much chocolate now he's not drinking. Yeah. Well, the problem now is, depending on his personal position, of course, is diabetes. So sugary drinks and sugary treats could lead, well, from one problem to another. But at least diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is self-inflicted, and with the right treatment can be reversed. Christine, I did crave sweets for around 6 months. Rory's just followed the host. Thank you very much, Rory. Pamela Hughes. I think that's a name I recognise. Got some great conversation going on here. Not just the mods, which is Yorkshire Bex, ex Bear James, and Jim, but also other people making valuable contributions to this community. Christine, I'd be devastated if I touch a drink now after 7 years. Yeah, the thing is, Christine, you know and I know, and most alcoholics will know that they are an alcoholic and they just cannot touch another glass. So to answer a question that I do get frequently is, no, I'm not in a position now or any time in my future to become a social drinker. That's never going to happen. Overflow. Here's a good one, Overflow. I've actually got a TikTok where I said on the video I drank a bottle of whiskey last night. I woke, so I walked down to the shop just down the road from me, bought a bottle of whiskey, opened it and drank the whole bottle. I got completely rat-arsed. And then I felt so guilty. Luckily, I then woke up. So the whole thing was a dream. I've dreamt that I've been binge drinking, that I fell off the wagon, went and bought a bottle of whiskey, and I binge drank. And it does make you feel terrible next morning because I even had a phantom hangover, thinking that I'd been drinking and I was only dreaming it. I know it is funny. How can you get phantom hangovers from something that you didn't really do? Coco Williams, thank you so much for your content. Recovering alcoholic here and really appreciate your content. The thing is, I just love those comments, not because I want to revel in all your lovely praise, but because it shows that I've got the right community of people on these live streams, the ones who understand my journey, who have been there before me. They're giving me all the reasons I should keep going. They're supportive, but they're understanding as well. And what we got, Sally says, I still get phantom hangovers. You do? Oh, God. I've only had that one. This is so brilliant. Just seeing if there's any questions on my comments on my TikTok that I could answer, because they might be here as well. Ah, porcus pie. Porcus pie. Wish I could do this. I only have 4 cans a night, but I need it. How do you do it? Well, you got to first start by telling yourself you don't need it. Because you don't. You don't need it. Yeah, yeah, okay. 28 days is standard detox before the body really begins to improve. But that's the body, not the mind. Because detox is cleansing your body, cleansing all your organs, whereas the mind takes a lot longer. Yes, people do just still drink around me, Christine. I don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. But I won't put myself into a situation where I'm going to a wedding, which later this month, it's a family friend, a close family friend getting married, and I'm not going. Yes, of course, Scotty. Considering I've been drinking for 50 years, certainly include me in that. Now, who's 3.5 months? Sarah? I'm 3.5 months. Wow. Well done. R.I.P. my dad. Sorry. R.I.P. my old friend Army in-house from Camden. Wait, what is a phantom hangover? It's having an alcoholic hangover next morning when you've not even had a drink. Gazza is still drinking. I'm not sure if he is or not, but if he is, it doesn't surprise me. Right, I also do AA and and my meetings is about to start. Thank you, everyone. That's good, good, Jim. You know my feelings on that. It didn't work for me, but they do have a valuable place in society for the people it does work for. Amy Warehouse. Amy Warehouse. You did correct yourself, but that is so funny. Amy Warehouse. Oh, I think that's the funniest thing I've seen on one of my live streams. Oh, right. Okay, let's see if we've got any more here. Um, Tracy R. Searles says, "Keep going. I admire anyone that has the courage to even start this journey." Thank you, Amy. Um, well, a lot of these are just praising me. I'll just see if I can find something about a question or something. Um, Seamus JFT says, "Don't forget, giving up is just the beginning. I hope you're addressing the entire issue." Well, I think this morning we've had quite a bit of conversation about the planning that goes into planning to stop and then what you do after you've planned and you are actually now a recovering alcoholic. So, yes, Seamus, we've addressed that this morning. Um, Sarah, expert James, got any ideas for day 100? Not yet, Sarah, because I've still got a few days left. But you have told me it's Wednesday, the 28th of July. So on my next plan, I'm going to be marking that on there. What I think I might do, it has just come to me actually, Sarah. One of the things I do on my YouTube channel, although I haven't made YouTube videos now for quite a few weeks, when I'm out metal detecting on my own or with friends, I usually have a cake break. And I take some cake with me. Sometimes it might be one that a friend has made or somebody's wife has made. And we have a cake break. And one of the things we do is in your cake hole. We have a cake break, enjoy some cake, have a talk about what we've found metal detecting so far. After the cake break, we then go back to metal detecting again. I might do a cake break day 100. So invite as many people as possible to join me at a given time on that Wednesday, the 28th of July, and all have a cake. So you'll better see my cake. I'll better tell you what cake it is, who made it, probably either make one myself, buy one or whatever. You can all tell me what cakes you're having. So we'll all have a 100-day cake. How about that? Would that? Do you think that'll fit in? Let's have a look at here. Oh, Sally Blythe says, "I didn't know you could get alcohol-free gin." Yeah, there's quite a lot of alcohol-free gins around now. Yeah, Rebecca. Okay, well, I'll mark that on then. We'll do a cake. We'll do an evening session on Wednesday the 28th. So there's more people around. An hour or something in an evening on Wednesday the 28th. Iona, yeah. Is it Leona or Iona? Leona? Yeah. Proud of you, Pops. Thank you very much. Your garden is very pretty. Oh, thank you. There are sweet peas growing there. Alcohol free has a trace of alcohol in it. Not if it says 0.0, because that'd be breaking the law. They can't do that. Some alcohol-free beers do have 0.05 on the little label thing at the back, but if it says 0.0, then it doesn't. Okay. Still trying to find a question here. Which I can. I. No, I can't find anything. We've discussed everything today. Okay, it's been really good. We're just chit chatting now rather than helping anybody with any particular problems. So I'm going to say thank you to all my moderators and to Jim. Congratulations for accepting as well. Thank you for accepting my invitation to become a moderator. I think I already follow you. I'm fairly sure I do. If not, I'm going to have to catch up with you later. But I think I do. I may come back on tomorrow morning just for a short chat live. Just an odd question and answer thing rather than a particular subject, because I've got my mother coming around tomorrow for Sunday lunch. So I'll probably get you in before then. So, no, nothing else. So I'll catch you later. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye bye.